As the conference is slowly coming to a close, it is important to think about where we go next. This conference is a start, but the real work starts when we all come back to our everyday lives and start realizing our ambitions. So, how do we make sure that we keep up the momentum, the inspiration, and the spirit of this good conference? We're facing new ground, new opportunities, and new challenges. I would propose that the best thing we can do is not to jump too quickly to solutions, but to really focus on what the questions are that we will be working on in the coming years. French thinker Voltaire famously said that we should judge a person not by her answers, but by her questions. I want to suggest to you that this is especially true in times of change, like this. So let's think about this together. What are the questions that we will take with us and make ours after the conference and work on and solve? Now, Google works with questions every day, and we believe all change begins by asking a question. In fact, our own business model could have been based on a question asked by Herbert Simon, Nobel laureate and pioneer across artificial intelligence, behavioral economics, design science, and the study of complexity. Simon, who would have celebrated his 100th birthday this year, was an extraordinary man. He focused his research on new technology and its challenges for us. In 1969, 47 years ago today, he wrote a paper called Designing Organizations in Information-Rich Environments. Already back then, in 1969, the explosion of information was felt to be overwhelming. And he had been asked to address the issue of information overload in front of a group of experts at the Brookings Institution. In this paper, he makes an almost casual observation that became central to the entire internet industry. He writes, "With a wealth of information comes a poverty of attention and a need to allocate attention efficiently." This single sentence sums up the market for companies like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, much of the entire internet industry. We all exist between the wealth of information and the poverty of attention, and the question we all struggle with is how to help our users allocate their attention. That question underpins an industry that keeps growing at a fast clip across the world, and Simon, prescient as he was, noted that the answer to his question, how we help people allocate attention, had to be artificial intelligence. In 1969, he had sketched the development up until today, where more and more research and resources are invested in artificial intelligence to help everyone decide how they allocate their attention. We will return to Simon later, but it is a remarkable piece of thinking, and I would encourage you all to have a look at his paper. If you use a search engine, you can find it quite quickly. So, what questions will we bring with us from this conference? What is your question, the one that you're inspired by, the one that keeps you awake at night, the one question that you are asking that no one else has thought of? We have questions in common, all of us who work in the startup space, who work with the digital economy. And let me suggest a few that we all need to work on. And I will speak a little bit about what Google is doing on these questions and how we think we can contribute. The first question is one about skill. How do we make sure that everyone can use and benefit from the technological change we're going through? The European Commission has said that millions of jobs will be unfulfilled by 2020 if we don't start educating our citizens on digital skills. So the question here is both obvious and pressing. It is, how do we bring everyone along? Google has started a number of different educational initiatives across Europe, and in 2 years we're on track to train 2 million people in different kinds of digital skills. It can be kids that learn to code, small businesses that learn to export, or even larger businesses that need expertise to move through this transition. And this is not an abstract thing. I made it a point to try to visit the students that use our different programs, and I met an amazing range of talent. I met kids who just learned to program a robot. I met young women who start their first company, and I think this is really important in order to get our new economy right. This is an important challenge. The rate at which we learn as a society is one of the key factors in how fast we can adapt to the digital economy. A society where we learn slowly will be left at a disadvantage and may find that citizens start fearing technology rather than embracing it. The web, as Sir Tim Berners-Lee has put it, is for everyone. We need to make sure that it also can be used by everyone and that it helps everyone grow. The second question that we are all working on, I think, is about companies. The economy is changing, and all of the different institutions of the economy are changing with it. So what is a company in our digital economy? How are companies changing? As we have studied this question, we have found a couple of simple observations that we believe are important for how we think about this and how we stimulate the economy. As Google, we drive a number of campuses across the world where we encourage entrepreneurs and startups to share and exchange information. What we see in these campuses, and we're extraordinarily proud to have one of them in Warsaw that is celebrating its one-year anniversary soon, is that companies are changing in a number of different ways. Companies today are naturally global. Any company that starts on the web can reach a global market. Many of the startups we talk to have a natural global first mindset. They want a European digital single market, they want that delivered from our politicians, but they also need a transatlantic digital single market. And frankly, in the end, they just want a digital market globally. There are no borders for companies today but those that we either raise or leave in place ourselves, and we're probably wise to make sure that the digital economy is as large as possible. Companies are also naturally multinational. Our chief economist, Hal Varian, has observed that there is an emerging new type of company where the founders may be spread out over several different countries. He calls these companies micro-multinationals. One person may be in Poland, another in India, a third in Sweden, working on an app sold in 100 different markets. Talent moves freely in the digital economy, and we have to do what we can to attract it. Companies are finally now tools for learning through data. There are a few companies in our campuses that cannot answer all kinds of questions about their business. Who are their customers? How do they use the products they provide? Where can it be improved? When? What point in time? Entrepreneurs today are relentlessly focused on data, on metrics, on facts about their markets and business. And the perhaps most important competitive advantage today is how fast you learn. All this said, we have only seen the start of the transformation of the economy. So what kind of company will you be? What kind of organization will you be? And what does it mean for your organization to become digital? These questions are urgent, and the answers, I think you will find, are very interesting. The third question we work a lot with is how we best develop new technology. What should our design philosophy be? We have a clear mission. Google has set up to organize all the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. But even so, technology can be built in different ways. As we, Google, build new technologies and new companies and new business models, we have a choice of design. Our design principles are fairly simple. We believe in building for everyone. Our CEO, Sundar Pichai, has repeatedly made the point that we will build our technologies for everyone so that the poor kid in Bangladesh has access to exactly the same search engine that a lawyer in the UK has. We very consciously build our services so we will reach the maximum amount of users, and we continue to expand to all of our markets. We also believe in building open ecosystems. Take Android, our mobile OS. When we started building Android, the mobile world was becoming increasingly closed and siloed. We wanted to build an alternative to that, an open ecosystem where everything from source code to the App Store was open to everyone. The results have been amazing to watch. Today we have 24,000 devices from 1,300 different brands using Android. There are 1.3 million Android developers in Europe, and I would like to add, Poland has a great many of them. And I think Poland is punching way above its weight when it comes to app developers. So please continue doing that. We all need you for the ecosystem. By opening up the systems to everyone, distributing it for free, we've also managed to lower costs of the devices in emerging markets. Android is an example of how you build technology and how you get the most possible users to enjoy it. So, the way we build our technology matters. That is true for all of us. So thinking carefully about this is something that we as technology companies, entrepreneurs, inventors, politicians, and decision makers have to do. These are just some of the new questions about the digital economy. There are many others, and even for those, we've only found parts of the answer. So we have to continue working on them, both us and together with you, of course, in partnership. Now, I want also to address another question that I've been asked several times. The question goes something like this: do I really think that Europe will be able to win in the digital economy? There are a number of things I would like to say about this question. First, it is very important to observe that it's not a zero-sum game. Europe can win together with other parts of the world. The goal has been to serve as many people as possible and requires succeeding in both the transatlantic and a global market, together with others. That said, Europe is extraordinarily well prepared for this. We have unique advantages, great ideas, great innovators. We have more than 500 people in an accessible, hopefully soon, digital single market. Now, when it comes to ideas, I sometimes tell people that, and they don't know this, that the first search engine was actually European. It was built back in 1892 by a man called Paul Otlet. He called it the Repertoire Universel Bibliographique, and it was built on 400,000 index cards and 10 librarians or so. You could write a question to the search engine and send it in, and he warned users that if you're not specific enough, you may get more than 50 answers, which of course is nothing today for us. His search engine grew to 15 million index cards, and the current technology at the time in the 1890s couldn't carry it anymore. But the vision Otlet had was a world in which information would be located throughout the world and connected so that you could ask any question at any time. We still have some of his index cards in our Brussels office, and it's amazing to see that the roots of search engine technology really are European. In our time, successful businesses like Skype and Spotify and many, many others have started in and have their roots in Europe. The app economy, as I mentioned, is blooming, and we have just seen the beginning of what we can accomplish together. For Google, it's obvious that you, here in Poland, are well placed to build the next chapter of the digital economy. We believe this region is exceptionally interesting, and we're committed to its digital economy. We have some 400 Googlers here and more than 100 engineers who are working on some of our most important cloud products. We think Poland has the talent, the drive, and the open minds that are key to making the most of the digital economy, and we're proud to be a part of that. We really believe you have a chance to build key new parts of the digital economy here. Now, I want to come back to Herbert Simon before I conclude. The unique thing about Simon's research was that while he was interested in technology, what really fascinated Herbert Simon was our human limitations. Simon got the Nobel Prize for his work on how we think. His observation was very simple. We are not rational machines, but we make decisions on what we think is good enough, what we know at any given moment. This theory of bounded rationality, as he called it, sounded simple, but when it sank in what it actually meant, researchers started understanding that it really implied that large parts of traditional economics needed to be rethought. After Simon, researchers like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky has shown that we're in fact very different from the rational man in the economic model. We behave in ways that are unpredictable, irrational, and often almost a bit random. We are, in short, human. Simon's vision for artificial intelligence and technology was also informed by his interests in our limitations. He never saw artificial intelligence as something that would replace us humans. He thought it would complement us. Today we know that while a computer can always beat a human in chess, humans and computers collaborating can always beat a computer alone at chess. This is fundamental for how we should approach artificial intelligence, for how we think about technology. In the same paper, where Simon observed that we have an attention problem in the modern economy, he went on to say that we need artificial intelligence to help us focus our attention in the right way. But that, he meant, was not enough. He wanted technology to be used to help us learn a little bit faster and become a little bit more intelligent ourselves. It would complement us, not replace us. There's a really important lesson here that I want to bring home, and that is that the digital economy is ultimately about us. It is about you and me, and about you and human beings. And in order to succeed in the digital economy, we need to focus on human beings and what they need and how they can help each other and how we can help each other. In Google, we have a very, very simple principle that I'd like to share with you. We come back to it all the time when we speak of technology, services, and how else we can improve. Focus on the user, we say, and all else will follow. As you take on the challenge of the digital economy and of becoming world leaders in entrepreneurship and innovation, this is a good rule to remember. What I would like you to remember, if you remember nothing else from this talk, is that. So let me end by repeating that, but this time as a question to you, in the spirit of giving you a question to build on. How will you focus on the user and make sure all else follows from that? If we stick to that and we work on that together, I think we're heading towards a fantastic, bright future. Thank you for your attention.